the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes.
Could the Chicago Bears actually have the opportunity to trade for one of the best players in football? This NFL analyst sure thinks so. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you also do me a huge favor by also hitting the like button on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. Before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, this episode is brought to you by BetUS. As you all know, Bears fans, I am partnering with BetUS all season long, and all my bets on the Chicago Bears are through BetUS. You guys can actually head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000. Even though the Chicago Bears are on a bye week, you guys can go place your bet right now for Caleb Williams to win Rookie of the Year. I feel like Caleb Williams had a rough start to his season, just trying to adjust to the NFL. But I feel like after a huge 4-touchdown pass performance over the Jacksonville Jaguars, I feel like he has re-entered the chat, and I think he can very well take home Rookie of the Year honors at the end of the year. So go place your bet on Caleb Williams to win Rookie of the Year at the end of the season by using promo code YouTube150. All right, Bears fans, first and foremost, we have to talk a little bit about this outstanding performance by not only Caleb Williams, but the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams just continues to get better in a 35-16 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to me, this is exactly what I wanted to see. And this is exactly what we expected from Caleb Williams, just getting better week by week. Some of the throws that he's making, that fade to Keenan Allen, that back shoulder throw in the end zone to Keenan Allen, right? Just the double pump fake screen right in the middle of the seam to Cole Kmet for that touchdown. Obviously, he missed that touchdown throw that ended up into an interception to DJ Moore. But to me, it was just a complete game by Caleb Williams. He continues to get better. He's finally complimenting on what that defense gives this team. You know, obviously we can depend on our defense to at least give us a turnover or two a game, good field position as well. And to me, Caleb Williams and the offense are finally capitalizing on those opportunities. And to me, no matter what you say about this football team, even if you say, oh, well, they only beat the Panthers, Rams, you know, and the Jags, right? Those are not very good teams. But to me, it's about the growth and the progress of our young quarterback in Caleb Williams. People forget that we had a young team, especially on the offensive side of the football, and a young quarterback in Caleb Williams, and he continues to get better week by week. It's going to definitely suck not to see Bears football in week 7 as they are on a bye, but I cannot wait to see what this team, including Caleb Williams, does off the bye when they have a very tough matchup against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. So overall, very pleased with the performance of Caleb Williams and very pleased with a huge win in London over the Jags. So let's go ahead and talk about not really a rumor, but this NFL analyst kind of just put the bug in Ryan Poles' ear, and that analyst is Kyle Brandt. Everyone knows that Kyle Brandt is a huge Bears fan, and this was actually a couple of weeks ago after their win, I believe, over the Rams or the Carolina Panthers, where they were sitting at 3-2. But now the Chicago Bears are now sitting at 4-2 going into the bye week, right? And if they can keep this momentum up over the next couple of weeks and maybe beat the Commanders, right? Or maybe even beat the Patriots and some of the other games that we have, or the Cardinals coming up, right? And they can maybe be 6-3, 7-2. The Chicago Bears and Ryan Poles could very well be buyers at the November 5th trade deadline. So that's why Kyle Brandt was bringing up the idea that the Chicago Bears could possibly go out and trade for one of the best players in football, and that is guard Quentin Nelson from the Colts. Obviously, we've seen Ryan Poles be aggressive before at the trade deadline a couple of years ago, traded for Chase Claypool for a second-round pick. Then last year, traded for Montez Sweat for a second-round pick. And here's the interesting part now, Bears fans. Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have 2 second-round picks at their disposal. One of those second-round picks being really more valuable as the Carolina Panthers continue to struggle and they look like one of the worst teams in football. So that second-round pick can be very high. Before we talk a little bit more about Quentin Nelson, I want to show you the little clip of what Kyle Brandt had to say about the opportunity for the Chicago Bears maybe going out and getting a guy like Quentin Nelson to really complete this offensive line. Check this out, Bears fans.
I'm going to fan out here. There was a sign at Soldier Field over the weekend. This kid made a sign, this family made a sign about the trade, and you look on the right, and the Bears for Bryce Young, DJ Moore, done all right, blah, 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 blah. Look all the way in the bottom, 2025 second. That is this gift card that the Bears have in their pocket that they're just going to sit on, and maybe they won't trade it at all. Or maybe they do, and I'm going to completely fan out here and just use my imagination. A couple weeks ago, they played the Indianapolis Colts, and they got run all over, and they lost in Indianapolis, and I'm not sure the Colts are going anywhere this year. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I know they have a very expensive guard, and it's a guy who's a household name, and the Bears' interior line play is rough at best. If the Bears would trade for Quentin Nelson, I would fall off this chair. I'll give you a second-round pick. Maybe I'll give you something else, too. Maybe it might take some. That's a star. But you have a very expensive guard, and you're teetering on a rebuild. You don't know if Anthony Richardson is a thing or not. Maybe it would be reckless for the Colts. I would love it for the Bears. I love when teams are winning, and they're 3-2. Then they make the move, not when we're 1-4. Anybody can do that, saying that's not good enough. I want to give Caleb more, and I don't want to give him more fancy objects like wide receivers and running backs. Let's give him a damn guard, and let's go win the North this year. It's purely fan speak. I don't plug into the sources. I don't look at my phone. I look at the second-round pick. I look at who they played a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, God, that 56 from Nelson from Notre Dame would look really good in a Bears uniform. Just my take, just my theory. Do with it what you will.
So Bears fans, very interesting on what Kyle Brandt had to say here, and he's definitely not wrong, right? When you have a team that looks like it's ready to win now, ready to make that push towards the playoffs, Quentin Nelson would take this offensive line over the top, even though guys like Matt Pryor, Bill Murray have really stepped in and filled in well for when guys get hurt. We still have some huge question marks on the interior of the offensive line long term. Honestly, when you look at Tevin Jenkins, he plays well when he's available, but his availability is still a huge question mark. We all know the money that we wasted on Nate Davis. So Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears still need a long-term answer at that guard position. And maybe it is Bill Murray. Maybe it is Matt Pryor, right? They have played very well. But I'm thinking, once again, I brought this point up a couple of weeks ago right here on the podcast. I feel like when we play more of those difficult D lines, some of the top D lines in the National Football League, in the Green Bay Packers, the San Francisco 49ers, right? Obviously, the Minnesota Vikings defensive line has been very good this year. I think we're going to need a really solid offensive line to weather that storm, and that's when Quentin Nelson really comes in. And once again, most NFL fans, if you're a true NFL fan, you know the name Quentin Nelson. He has been one of the best guards in the league since 2018 for the Indianapolis Colts, and he has really anchored that Indianapolis Colts offensive line since 2018. And once again, Tevin Jenkins can't stay healthy. We all know the story about Nate Davis, and we all know that Quentin Nelson would be an instant upgrade for this offensive line. And once again, Kyle Brandt actually believes that there is a possibility that, hey, if the Bears can win the next couple of games, they could very well be buyers for a guy like Quentin Nelson. They feel like he should utilize one of those second-round picks, probably the Carolina Panthers second-round pick, to go get a guy like Quentin Nelson to really put not only your offensive line to the next level, but the entirety of the offense to the next level as well. So let's go ahead and talk about this idea. And I would definitely love a guy like Quentin Nelson. You know, I was bummed when the Chicago Bears missed out on him a couple of years ago in the NFL draft. I felt like he was the best guard in that draft a couple of years ago, and obviously the Bears missed out on him. But here's a couple of reasons why I feel like it won't happen for the Chicago Bears. First and foremost, the Indianapolis Colts are sitting at 3-3, and they're actually second in the AFC South. So it's not like they are a dumpster fire sitting at 1-5. So they're still in a very thick of race there in the AFC South. They can very well still be in competition for the division. I know the Houston Texans are in that division, but I still think the Colts are good enough to make a playoff push. So that's one reason. And to me, when you're looking at a guy like Quentin Nelson, he's still 28 years old, so he's still in the thick of his prime. And unloading players of his caliber, especially when you're looking at this, the Colts situation, really doesn't make sense for the Colts organization, especially when you have a GM like Chris Ballard that's kind of stingy on making trades like this. The most that Chris Ballard has ever traded was when he traded away Carson Wentz or Rock Ya-Sin a couple of years ago, but those players weren't good when they actually made those moves. Quentin Nelson's in the prime of his career. He's still playing at a high level, and when you consider that they also have a young quarterback in Anthony Richardson that needs all the protection that he can get, I just don't think a guy like Chris Ballard would take that risk for his young quarterback or take that risk for his football team or his offensive line to get worse. Because once again, if you are losing a guy like Quentin Nelson, you are going to get worse. And obviously, if the Bears were able to get a guy like Quentin Nelson, that would make our football team and offensive line better. So those are just a couple of reasons why I feel like it's more of a pipe dream for the Chicago Bears to land a guy like Quentin Nelson. Maybe if you call Chris Ballard, just maybe like, hey, Chris, we have a second-round pick from the Carolina Panthers that could possibly be pick, number 33 or 34. It's going to be a pretty high pick in the second round, and maybe we can even offer you a guy like Khalil Herbert, for example. Khalil Herbert is no longer really involved in the Chicago Bears offense. The only playing time that Herbert gets is with kick returns or punt returns, all that good stuff. So he's really only a special teamer at this point. I feel like Khalil Herbert could possibly be a good complement to a guy like Jonathan Taylor and Trey Sermon over there with the Colts. But even then, this all depends on how these next couple of weeks end up, not only for the Chicago Bears, but also for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's say the Colts are sitting at 3-3 right now. Let's say they go on a 3-game losing streak prior to the November 5th trade deadline, and they're sitting at 3-6. Maybe they would be more inclined to unload a player like Quentin Nelson. Maybe if the Chicago Bears win the next couple of games, they're sitting at 7-2. They want to add one more piece to the puzzle to really either push for the NFC North or even push for the playoffs. Then they go out and be aggressive for this move. But as it stands right now, I just don't personally see a guy like Chris Ballard saying, hey, we'll give you our best player on our football team besides, Jonathan Taylor and Quentin Nelson for a second-round pick in Khalil Herbert. Once again, I feel like it would be nice. I definitely see where Kyle Brandt is coming from because I do feel like getting a guy like Quentin Nelson would be a huge upgrade and make a huge difference to the Chicago Bears. And I do think it would be the final piece to the puzzle, or at least a good direction for this offensive line to get better. But I just think at this point, getting Quentin Nelson on the Chicago Bears would be a pipe dream. So overall, Bears fans, I just wanted to come on here really quick and share that bit of information with you guys. Just let me ask you guys this before I let you guys go. Would you guys be interested in a guy like Quentin Nelson on the Chicago Bears? And would you be willing to give up a second-round pick and possibly Khalil Herbert in order to get Quentin Nelson on the Chicago Bears? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. And once again, make sure you head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000 to place your bet on Caleb Williams winning Rookie of the Year. And as always, Bears fans, after every single Chicago Bears win, you come to the channel to see the Chicago Bears anthem right here on Kick on the Mic. So it's time to throw your claws up, Bears fans. But as always to you guys, bear down.
In your mom, get to the bed.
Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. NFC North, we the hardest in our section. When you hear that bear down, you better get the stepping. Light it up with us, you gon' think we use them hit sticks. Feel like Jalen Johnson take this beat for a pick six. Cali to Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes. Matt Forte, Walter Payton. They sweat me like I'm Tez, cause I'm all pro in the making. So tell me why they hating. We about to take over, they gon' feel what I'm saying. We really back and we ripped off the script. Feeling like Hester when I pop off these kicks. They just mad they ain't pop off like this. We are the Bears and you know what it is. Oh yeah, Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.